Greetings and greetings and salutations. There you go. It's been a while since I've done that. Took a bit of a Christmas break, and I'm here. So welcome to 2024. New video, new year. How have you all been? I've missed doing this, to be honest. I haven't done that for more than 3 weeks now, I think. To begin with, I wasn't really sure if I wanted to make this video. Why? Because, well, considering the nature of this topic, it is hard not to make it, well, very personal and sort of shining the light on my own private life. So, I was thinking, how do I tackle the subject of sexual function after the bottom surgery without going into details about my own personal experience, my own personal preferences, and my own sex life. To some degree, I think it is necessary to bring some of that into a picture. After all, I do have an experience with this, and I want to give you a realistic picture of what things look like without saying absolutely everything about me and the stuff. So mom, don't watch this video. Just don't skip it. Cats videos, there's a lot of those, you might enjoy it. I've been doing these videos now for more than half a year, like 7 months or so. And during the time, I've seen a surprising amount of comments. People saying that after the surgery, I would be unable to have sex, I'd be unable to orgasm, or that I am unable to experience sexual pleasure of any sort. And that is as far away from the truth as it can be. In previous videos, I focused a lot on complications from surgery, but short-term and long complications I'm experiencing, and I'm really honest and open about it. And if you've watched those, you know how grim it looks. I'm not sugarcoating, like, oh, those surgeries are so fantastic. No, they're not. They might come with horrible, life-ruining complications. And if you're new to the channel and you want to watch those videos and complications, click on the card here, or wait till the end of the video and it will show up in this little tiny window. But this time, I don't want to focus on complications, and I think what I will have to say in this video is a bit more positive rather than negative, because I was focusing on those negative effects of the surgery for a long time in several of my videos. But this time I'm going to tell you that it's not all bad. There are some things that didn't get totally ruined. And by no means does it mean that I'm promoting those surgeries. I'm actually quite categorically against them, not in the sense that I want to ban them, but rather that I wouldn't want people to get those surgeries. I think that people should rather work towards accepting their own bodies rather than changing their bodies. I think that making those surgeries illegal will only make things worse, because people will be getting those surgeries on the black market, which allows for even more complications, even more bad results. And that I think we want to avoid. I don't think we should be putting people into situations where they experience unnecessary suffering. And I think gender dysphoria in and of itself is already a suffering. Looking at all those comments of people who think that you can't have sex, you don't have any sexual function, it makes me think that people believe that your genitals are removed. And it makes sense because, one of the comments I've read, someone asked me, is it possible for you to get your penis attached? Well, after like what? It's been almost 10 years since the surgery. The thing is, it's not my, like, my penis is out there somewhere. I don't have it kept here in my apartment. I mean, what the hell will I be doing with that? Waving around? Taxi? No. And someone else even asked me, is it possible to preserve a penis in a jar? And you know, what this makes me realize is that a lot of people believe that your penis is just being cut off. Gone. Just like that. But here's the thing. Nobody removed my penis.
And the last time you saw your penis was 2 days ago? That's right.
My penis is still there. It's just been mutilated and formed into something foreign, strange, alien and disturbing. But it is not removed. All the parts, well, most of them, a lot of the parts in the inside of the penis, a lot of erectile tissues and so on, is being removed. Yeah, but your penis, as it is not being removed. Your testicles are being removed, some erectile tissues, and so on. But for the most part, your penis is still there. You know what I like to compare it to? Have you seen those videos of this woman who was attacked by a chimp? And the chimp went absolutely apeshit on her face. Well, you know, it's not like that person no longer has a face. I think it will be weird to tell that person, wait, can you get your face attached again? It's not like the chimp took her face and run away with it. And the chimp has it there for some reason. You know, that's not how it works. Her face is still there. It's mutilated, and it's comparable to what is happening during those surgeries. And I'm not going to be showing any graphic material here from the surgeries, but just to make it clear, because you know, I thought of that this might be common knowledge at this point, but it seems that a lot of people who are watching these videos, I don't know how many actually, I believe most of you know that, but there are those who don't, and I think it's really important to say that, you know, it's not, your penis is not being cut off, and nobody's drilling a hole there.
Well, here's an extra $1.
What is happening is that your penis, after the removal of the testicles and the erectile tissues, is being inverted to form this cavity in there, artificial cavity of sorts. But what that artificial cavity and the surrounding area, some people might refer to as vulva, is a penis. That's why I never ever call it a vagina. But it's what a new vagina is actually a penis. It is a mutilated penis formed into something else, but it's still that same material. It's still a penis. So all the functional parts of the penis are still there. Now, when it comes to sensation, it varies. You know, after an invasive surgery like this, there's a huge risk that you might lose some sensation, or maybe a lot of it. In every single case, it's different. The gland of your penis, when it's being removed, what it's being formed into is a clitoris, or what it's supposed to be. And it's placed in the same spot where you would normally find a clitoris in a female vulva. But usually what is happening is that they take a small part of that gland to place it there and sew it, like with your skin. I wasn't expecting that, but it looks like all of the head of the penis is still there, attached to my skin. And it takes more space than I was expecting, and it works just like it did before, you know? Only it's much closer to your skin because, you know, you don't no longer have the shaft. But it works the same way, pretty much. I don't find it to be that much different. It pretty much works like a penis. and I'm already feeling like I'm revealing too much. But, you know, we're doing it for the science. And, well, as far as orgasms are concerned, in my particular case, I'm achieving it the same way I would before. I can leave that to your imagination. You know, if you don't know, my cavity is practically closed. It's completely useless, and it's not like I was ever using it. I never actually wanted to. It's not really my thing. For me, as a guy, the idea of being penetrated in that hole just doesn't feel right at all. It never ever did. And then, you know, you might be asking me, well, why did you get the surgery in the first place? And the truth is, well, to fit in, right? Like, I wanted to fit in. I transitioned into a trans woman to fit in the first place because I felt like I wasn't fitting in as a man, that I would be more accepted if I transitioned to a woman. And, you know, things you do to fit in, just because of trauma from bullying. Yeah, it ruins you in that way. But anyway, back to the topic at hand. Orgasming is pretty much still a possibility. For me, yeah, it works just like before. But what I would say actually feels worse is the whole process before you're nearing ejaculation. But I would say the sensation in the skin has been reduced by maybe 40%. It's still there, but it doesn't feel as good as it used to. What's the reason for that? You know, when that part of your skin is being detached and attached again, all the nerves have to connect all over again for you to regain your sensation in that region. And some of those nerves are not going to connect. And, you know, I have seen some trans women who said that their clitoral stimulation feels so much better than the stimulation of penis. And I can't see how anyone would possibly think that, other than it being a psychological feeling like, oh, now I have the right parts. But I don't think it is possible physically, because you know, a female clitoris has way more nerves than a penile glands, right? That's no secret. But a trans woman is not a biological woman. She will not have the same amount of nerves. It's not like the surgery is going to give you more nerve connections. If anything, you're going to lose those nerve connections. That's why I don't think it's anything else than just purely psychological placebo effect. Let's call it that. And I think it's also because, you know, some trans people would read that, you know, clitoris is more sensitive than a penis, and you're sort of living in that fantasy that, well, now I have a clitoris, so it is more sensitive. You know, I'm not a big fan of fooling yourself and living in a la la land. I'm a big fan of reality, of how things actually are. And that's sort of what I want to present to you, just the raw truth of it. And no, it's not all bad. There's also a lot of trans people who would be honest about it as well. I'm not saying that all trans people exaggerate their sexual function and ability to experience pleasure, because I'm sure there's a lot who experience it just completely fine in one thing, and this may seem surprising to some people, but a male is always a male. So my prostate is still there, wasn't removed. I'm still able to ejaculate. And yeah, I know it may seem surprising to some people, probably a lot of people, but some people seem to believe that all of your sperm, all of, you know, the semen is being produced in the testicles. Some people believe that men are actually like carrying all that liquid in their ballsack, like it's hanging there, the liquid. No, that's not how it works. Most of that liquid is being produced in your prostate and along the way. The only thing that comes from testicles are the sperm cells that are being absorbed into the liquid, and it's sort of like a milkshake, blending it together and then coming out. And you know, it's ejaculating just a normal way. What I would say is the worst thing about it, and the good thing about it is that it feels just like it did before, but you know, you no longer have the shaft, you have nothing to aim with, so it's all sort of splashing under you, right? It's sort of like peeing yourself, actually, and it gets mixed up with all hair and everything. This is the weirdest video I have ever done, to be honest. So if you're in the same situation as me and you're struggling with this, here's my advice. Have a paper cup or something, have it ready, and ejaculate straight into the cup so it doesn't smear all over you, like just like that. Especially avoid doing it in a lying position, because that's just makes a mess. Stand up, have a plastic or paper cup. Paper cups are better, more environment friendly. Ejaculate into that paper cup and cheers. Yeah. There I was, thinking I'm not going to be revealing too much, and boom, here I am revealing absolutely everything. So you know, for me, it pretty much still works the same, even though some people would say I now have different parts. I don't consider them to be different parts. From my perspective, I still have a penis. It's just, it's been mutilated, and that comes with certain practical challenge, you know. The same way how that woman who had her face ripped off by a chimp, she still has a face, right? I think it may be relatable to other people who are in the same situation as me, who are post-op, either if they're detransitioned men or if they're trans women. In that sense, you know, we're in the same boat. How we choose to use our parts, of course, varies from person to person. But you know, at the end of the day, we are handling the same weapon. We are handling the same sword. Although that metaphor is probably not the best one. Now, I bet what a lot of people are curious about is the possibility for penetrative sex. How does that work? And personally, I don't really have experience with that. I stopped dilating very early on because I absolutely hated it. It was painful, so it's hardly a hole at this point. And if you're new to this channel, then you probably don't know it, but my anus was damaged with a scalpel during the surgery. But for those who do wish to engage in penetrative sex, either anal or through the artificial cavity, well, it is possible, absolutely. The question is, how is it going to feel? And you know, I talked to quite a lot of trans women actually who had their surgeries, and in the early phase, it's normal to think that, you know, I feel absolutely nothing when I'm dilating other than pain and discomfort. And some people will tell them, oh, you know, it's normal, it will feel different when your partner penetrates you or something like that. Then it will feel good. The reality is, it probably won't. If you find dilating to be painful, penetrative sex will probably be even more painful. A lot of penises are larger than the dilators you are using, you know? And it's actually a very, very common issue, both among trans women who are post-op and detransitioned males who are post-op, that they are unable to fit their partner in. And even if you go on Reddit, you will find a lot of posts made by trans women who are having this issue, fitting their male partner in there. It's either impossible or it's very, very painful. That is quite unfortunate for some, right? And even in the cases where that works, the ability to experience orgasm from penetration is actually quite low. But then again, it's also much lower for women, for females, to experience orgasm from penetration alone without clitoral stimulation. A lot of women prefer clitoral stimulation to penetrative sex or penetration of any sort. The cactus or something. I don't know where I was going with that. And your partner doesn't even have to be big down there for that to be issue. So you've had this expectation that well, after you have the surgery, you probably will be more likely to have sex like a woman, and then you realize, boom, that doesn't happen, right? Because it doesn't work like you expected it to work. And then you might be thinking, well, there's still the other possibility, right? You can go in the back door. And this is actually a completely new information for me, because I found out just last month, but in a lot of cases your prostate is also being moved during the surgery to be located closer to your newly created canal rather than your other hole, the brown smelly hole. And the G-spot in men that you can find by penetrating the anus, well, it's no longer there after you had the surgery. When I went to my doctor after my surgery that I had almost 10 years ago, what is right in the report that if anyone needed to examine my prostate, I don't know why anyone would want to examine my prostate, what kind of a pervert would do that, but if a procedure like that was necessary, they had to go through the new cavity rather than through the anus to examine the prostate. And I was like, why? Isn't it simpler to just doing it like you usually do? And for all this time I had no idea until somebody told me just last month that your prostate is being moved. So you're at this point you're unable to orgasm by penetrative anal sex. And well, if your newly created cavity is too tight to fit someone in, well, you won't be able to orgasm from that sort of penetration either. So what you are left with is two unfunctional holes. And in my case, it's just an extreme version of that. But for a lot of trans people who had the surgery, this possibility of having the two unfunctional holes there is possibility. It happens more often than people like to admit, and it's unfortunate, and that is one of the reasons why I don't actually recommend the surgery. I always recommend people to work on accepting themselves. But let's examine the worst case scenario. You have two unfunctional holes and you are unable to come from the stimulation of your penile glands. That's the worst case scenario. You are unable to have penetrative sex and you are unable to experience orgasm or sexual pleasure. Let's say, even in that case, it doesn't mean you can't have sex. And we have this very restricted definition of what sex and sexual intimacy is. And and this is very heteronormative, right? But you have this idea that sex is the PIV, right? Penis in vagina, like this sort of penetration, that's sex. And you know, if you define it like that, then of course sexual intimacy between two men or two women would not be sex according to that definition. And even when we move away from that, we still tend to define sex by penetration. And I have met people who have engaged in oral sex, who performed oral sex on someone or had someone perform oral sex on them, and they go around calling themselves virgins. To me, that's just ridiculous. If you had any sexual contact with another person of any sort, you are not a virgin, okay? So even if it is challenging, you can still find ways to be sexually intimate with your partner. And even then, you know, like in my case, penetration is not possible, but I can still experience pleasure, and I can still find ways to be intimate with someone that did not require penetration, you know. Besides, I don't even think penetration is the best type of sex out there, to be honest. You know, be creative. It doesn't have to be life-ruining. It doesn't really have to completely kill your sex life. You can still have a fulfilling sex life after the surgery, or perhaps not right after, but give it some time, it will kick in. Well, okay, so you might say, right, I've spent a lot of time talking about male to female type of surgery and the sexual function after this type of surgery, but what about women who transition to trans men? What about their situation? And the thing is, I wanted to include it in this video as well. How good is sex after this surgery? What are the challenges? Can you experience pleasure and orgasm and so on? And you know, I have no personal experience with that, but I've also never actually talked to anyone who had this surgery. Actually, I've heard about it, but I don't personally know anyone who has had this sort of surgery. And you know, I could include some Reddit posts in this video, people who had experienced that, but you know what, I'd rather hear from someone who knows more about it than me. And so you might, in either near or far future, I don't know how far, but at some point expect a continuation video where I will focus on both complications as well as sexual functions after phalloplasty or metoidioplasty, because there are actually two ways to make yourself a dick, and I'll have someone with me who is more knowledgeable on that. Anyway, thanks for stopping by. It's probably the only video on this topic this month. I'm going to do a lot of philosophy this month, and in the meantime, take care of yourself and I'll see you next week. Ciao.